Now tonight is WrestleDream in Seattle at the Climate Pledge Arena. The last time they were there was for the first Dynamite of 2023. They did over 9,100 fans in the building that night. For this pay-per-view, with a pretty stacked lineup, they still have not crossed 6,000 fans. They have the building set up for about 7,500. This is a pay-per-view with Bryan Danielson, Swerve Strickland, Darby Allin, all in feature matches on the show, all local guys. There's no reason an episode of Dynamite should be outselling this show. So we'll see what kind of walk-up they do. And it is a big show. You know, Tony Khan, he continues to push this narrative that this is going to be the start of a new era for AEW. The announcers were really pushing it again on Collision last night. I think it could be the announcement of a Max deal and monthly pay-per-views, because that would certainly mark the beginning of a new era for this company if they went to monthly pay-per-views. If not that, I don't know what it could be in reference to. But I am excited for the show tonight. We've got 4 matches announced for the 0-hour pre-show. Local boy Nick Wayne takes on Luchasaurus. Seattle or not, Nick Wayne should not be beating Luchasaurus. This should be a win for the dinosaur. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn defend their AEW Trios titles against the Mighty Don't Kneel from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Sabre Jr. is part of the group. He's on the main card. But here it's Shane Haste, Mikey Nichols, and Bad Dude Tito. My Magic 8-Ball tells me Bad Dude Tito is not walking out as 1/3 of the AEW Trios champions. And they added 2 more matches on Collision last night. A 4-on-4 mixed tag team match. On one side, Shane Taylor, Lee Moriarty, Mercedes Martinez, and Diamante. On the other side, Satoshi Kojima, Keith Lee, Athena, and Billy Starks. So I'm going with Kojima, Lee, Athena, and Starks. And Claudio Castagnoli goes one-on-one. He laid down the challenge. He's going one-on-one with Josh Barnett, one of Antonio Inoki's proteges, one of his prized pupils, making his AEW debut. So it makes sense for an Inoki tribute show to have Josh Barnett on there in some way. And he's yet another Seattle boy. You know, they're throwing this one on the pre-show for free. This could be on the main card. But they're putting this on the pre-show, so that has my attention. I think Claudio takes it. One big name missing from the show altogether is Jon Moxley, who lost his international title to Rey Fenix at Grand Slam. He got concussed. He called an audible during the match for Fenix to beat him for the belt. It messed up plans that Tony Khan had for someone outside of AEW to come in to challenge Moxley for the championship on this show. Now, I'm thinking it was probably going to be Barnett. Barnett has a victory over Moxley 2 years ago on one of the Bloodsport shows that Barnett runs. Bodyslam.net had a report this week, though, that it was supposed to be Filthy Tom Lawler. The same Tom Lawler who was supposed to make his AEW debut at Forbidden Door this year against Adam Cole before Cole got pulled at the last minute with an undisclosed illness. So he ended up wrestling Serpentico in a dark match instead. That's quite the come down. If that's true, I mean, how snake-bit is that guy? You know, I said on the stream Wednesday I thought it might have been Sami Callihan, because I know he and Moxley are pretty tight. Moxley has worked for Callahan's promotion, his Wrestling Revolver promotion before. And Callihan revealed this past week that his contract with Impact Wrestling was expiring. And he was entering free agency as of yesterday, September 30th. So the timing would have lined up perfectly for him to debut here one day after he becomes a free agent. Now, there are still said to be people with Moxley leading the pack who are pushing very hard for Tony Khan to sign Callihan. So this could still be a landing spot for him, because as of this morning, he is officially a free agent. So we'll see where he ends up. On the main card, we've got MJF defending the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles all by himself in a handicap match against the Righteous, Vincent and Dutch. No Adam Cole. I am not convinced that MJF is going to go it alone. I could see Roderick Strong volunteering to be his partner. I thought they were going to set this up, honestly, on Wednesday, especially when Roddy came out. with the whole idea being that, okay, well, if Adam can't go, then I'll be happy to take his place. Or maybe Cole would ask MJF, would you do me a solid and let Roddy take my place? And then reluctantly MJF agrees. So they didn't do that, but I still think there's a good chance Roddy ends up volunteering to be his partner at the last minute. And MJF indulges him because, again, he's Adam's boy. And they win. And Roddy takes Cole's place as one half of the tag team champions until the Kingdom eventually get their title shot. And when they do, Roddy basically throws the match and helps the Kingdom win the ROH tag team titles. With or without a tag team partner, MJF retains tonight. But he's going to need a partner at some point. He can't go months, beating teams 2-on-1. I don't care if he is the AEW World Champion. You'll destroy the whole fucking division if you keep doing that. So you either get the belts off of him, or he's got to find a new tag team partner. Now, MJF does not need to be one half of the Ring of Honor tag team champions. He did not need to be one half of the Ring of Honor tag team champions when they won the belts. It was all part of the story. If they want to keep the story going, then he'll retain the titles. If not, then let him drop the belt and get them the fuck away from him. But I don't think they're ready to get the belts off of him just yet. So, if that's the case and he's going to need a tag team partner, Roddy is the one who would make the most sense. Now, there is another idea. And I was already thinking about this before I got this email from Armando, but I want to give Armando a shout out. He sent me this email yesterday, but on Friday night, Wardlow, remember him? Yes, Wardlow. He's still around. He posted a tweet. Actually, he was replying to someone telling him that they missed him. And Wardlow said, I miss me too. It's really sad what happened to this guy and how much his stock has fallen. But I saw that tweet going around and it got me thinking about old Wardlow. Maybe there's a silver lining in this Adam Cole injury for him. Now, Armando said he thinks that someone should be MJF's partner. That man should be Wardlow. And in his scenario, MJF accepts, and when it looks like the hot tag is coming, Wardlow punches him and he costs MJF the match. And then he beats MJF down after, and Wardlow is back all of a sudden with some momentum. Plus, you can have the two feud again, and this time the roles would be reversed. Right? Wardlow would be the heel, MJF would be the babyface. Where that falls apart for me, with Wardlow just randomly offering to be his partner, just because of the way things were left between them, why would he want to help MJF? And why would MJF trust him enough to say yes and accept? All it does is make MJF look like an idiot when Wardlow turns on him. And you shouldn't want your world champion to look like a fool. But them becoming partners and doing the betrayal later on, that's not a bad idea. You just can't rush it like that. But I do think there's a way to do it. You just have to tell that story. Why would Wardlow want to be with him? Why would he want Wardlow's help? If you can explain that, and you could come up with a way to explain it. All it takes is one promo in the middle of the ring on Dynamite. But just take your time with it. You don't rush into it like that. But the other problem with doing it that way that he described is that they've already set up Jay White as MJF's next opponent. But reuniting him and Wardlow for a little while before Wardlow turns on him and then Wardlow wants his shot at the AEW World title, that's a story that I can get behind. Because the last time they fought, Wardlow powerbombed this fucker 10 times and he pinned him. Now MJF is the world champion. Wardlow should want a shot at the title. He should have wanted it right after MJF won it a year ago. But better late than never. There is a way for them to work Wardlow into this now that Adam Cole is going to be down for a while. But just don't rush right through it. Don't rush into it. Take your time with it. But he's got Switchblade first. Ricky Starks goes one-on-one with Wheeler Yuta. This is a match that was made after a backstage confrontation the two had following Ricky's Texas Death Match with Bryan Danielson on Collision last week. Ricky has taken some losses recently. CM Punk, Bryan Danielson. He's due for a big win. Actually, I wouldn't call a win over Wheeler Yuta a big win, but it is a win that he should absolutely get, and I think he will get. Chris Statlander defends the TBS championship against Julia Hart. Julia Hart is on a 27 or 28, I think it might be 28 match win streak now after last night. Her last loss was back in April of last year, and that loss came at the hands of Chris Statlander. Now, I would not take the title off of Statlander here, and not for Julia Hart, although I wouldn't hate it if they wanted to do something with Julia, but I don't think that this is the right person or the right time for it. Statlander should retain. But I will say about Julia Hart, I've been liking her work of late. In the ring, she's definitely gotten better. Her character stuff, her entrance, her music, some of these vignettes they've done with her, all quality stuff. She's still very young. She's not even 21 years old yet, not for another month. But you could already see the progression that she has made. So she's on the right track. But putting the title on her right now would not be the move to make. We have the Young Bucks, the Guns, the Lucha Bros, and Orange Cassidy and Hook in a four-way match. This is for a future AEW World Tag Team title match. Could be at any time. They didn't specify when. It's not necessarily at Full Gear next month. Probably on television. They do have Title Tuesday coming up on October 10th. That would be a sensible place to expect it. The oddball pairing here, and the one team that we have not seen FTR work with, is Orange Cassidy and Hook. And for that reason, I think they get the win here. Don't let Orange Cassidy's win in the four-way on Wednesday over Matt Jackson, Penta, and Austin Gunn fool you. He can win again here, and I think he will. He needs something to do after losing the international title, and his stock is still pretty high in this company. Hook also. Hook has lost, one match in his career? So we just saw FTR against the Bucks. The Bucks just won the Ring of Honor 6-man titles. So I don't see the need for them to win here. I'm picking Orange Cassidy and Hook. Who would I like to see win? I've been liking what the Guns have been doing as part of Bullet Club Gold. I wouldn't mind seeing them pick up the win, but I think Cassidy and Hook are probably going to take it. Eddie Kingston, the brand new Ring of Honor World Champion, the New Japan Openweight Champion, New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. He will defend both of those titles against the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, Katsuyori Shibata. His title is not on the line. Eddie's titles are on the line. Kingston, by the way, has signed a new deal with AEW that's going to keep him with the company for another 4 years. So if you're not tired of Eddie Kingston yet, you got 4 more years of him. Shibata, we all know Shibata's great. I mean, if you're not familiar with Shibata, we know what he can do in the ring. Eddie has had some fun matches this summer. Shibata is the Ring of Honor Pure Champion. So we've seen him in some matches, technically, that have been great. Eddie wrestles a very different style. Eddie isn't really a technical wrestler. He's a brawler. So I don't know. Sometimes you get a clash of styles in matches like this. I'm expecting a chop fest. Hopefully no headbutts. But in the end, I think it's pretty clear Eddie Kingston is not losing the ROH World title. He just won the fucking thing. He's not losing the Ring of Honor World title here. So this will be a win for Eddie Kingston. FTR defend the AEW Tag Team titles against Aussie Open. 1 year ago today, they had their Royal Quest match, which a lot of people called it a 5-star match. One of the best matches of the year last year. When it was over, Dax Harwood got on the mic. He called them the future of tag team wrestling. He said maybe the best tag team in the world today, Aussie Open. That's high praise. They are not the future AEW World Tag Team Champions, however. Not tonight. FTR retains in a match that could very well steal the show. I mean, there's no less than half a dozen matches on this card that could steal the show. But this is definitely at the top of the list, I would say. But there's no reason for FTR to lose the titles here. And then we have Bryan Danielson, one-on-one with Sabre Jr. in what they are billing as a dream match. And for a lot of fans, it is. I mean, that word gets thrown around a lot. I can't tell you that I have a whole lot of dream matches on my personal list that are left that I would look at and go, okay, that's a dream match. I wouldn't consider this a dream match, but again, for some people it would be. For Bryan Danielson, it's a dream match. He has wanted to wrestle Zack Sabre for years, And they were supposed to wrestle at Forbidden Door last year. Bryan got hurt, though. He wasn't cleared in time. That's when Claudio debuted. He took his spot. After the main event on Collision last night, Sabre was ringside doing commentary. Danielson stared him down, so Sabre got into the ring. We had a face-off. Sabre shoved him. He slapped him. Danielson slapped him back. He went for the label lock, and Sabre escaped. And that's the only physical interaction we've had between these two. Bryan has done a lot of media this week for this show, and he has joked about not wanting to go on last on these pay-per-views just because the competition for the best match is always so fierce on these AEW shows. It's a lot of pressure. And also, these shows are so fucking long. I mean, well, I'm not even through the whole card yet. We'll talk about how many matches there are. But between all of the competition and between the fact that, these shows go so late that these crowds can be exhausted by the end unless you can really bring them back up. So I don't blame him for not wanting to go on last. I wouldn't want to go on last either on one of these shows. And it sounds like he's not going to have to worry about that because I don't think they are going on last. But there's no storyline here beyond who is the best technical wrestler in the world today. That's it. That's the story. Very similar to the build-up to his match with Okada in June. And a lot of that was due to the fact that Okada was in Japan, so he just wasn't available to be on television every week. But there was no contract signing. There was no can they coexist tag team match on TV. They relied for that match on video packages and their reputations in the business to get the match over. You didn't have to do anything. It was Okada against Danielson. That sells it all by itself to the wrestling audience. Two of the greatest of all time. Two of the best to ever do it. That was a match for the hardcore wrestling fan who knows who Okada is and they know who Bryan Danielson is. This match is exactly the same, although Sabre is not as big of a star as Okada is. The average fan doesn't know who Zack Sabre Jr. is. But this is not a match for the average fan. It may be a match that wins over some average fans if they happen to be watching the show and if they happen to really like the technical aspect of pro wrestling, and some people do. Some casual fans do like the technical matches. So maybe they'll win some fans over. But again, that's who the match is really for. Now, they're also in Seattle. So Danielson is going to be super over no matter what. And there's no reason for him to take the loss here. I mean, he beat Okada. Right? Why would he be losing to Zack Sabre Jr.? He's too valuable to AEW right now with CM Punk being gone. He just got 2 straight wins over Ricky Starks. The next time Danielson loses in an AEW ring, it should be to an AEW talent. If he works the Tokyo Dome next year, he can lose to Okada. So Okada gets his win back in a New Japan ring. That's fine. But he should not be losing on this show. And I don't think he will. It also sounds like Danielson in the G1 next year is about as much of a dream as this match is. He did an interview this week and said, sometimes I have delusions of doing the G1. I think that's what they are. I think that they're delusions in the sense of, that's something I've wanted to do forever and ever and ever. I've never been able to do it. This year would be the year to do it. Except, is it? By the time the next G1 rolls around, I'll be 43, and with how many injuries? That's a big part of why I want to step away from full-time wrestling also. To do this, I love doing this, but it's not worth the expense of my health later on in life. I've already had enough injuries as it is. Right now, I feel like the injuries that I've had are manageable in the sense of long term. I'm constantly doing stuff for my neck so that my neck isn't bad when I'm 70. The concussion stuff, I do my best, but all of us were just hoping for the best. We don't know. There is no concrete science on it. I think now doing a G1 might be a little irresponsible of me in comparison to what my overall long-term goals are, which is being there for my kids and my family. As much as I'd love to see Danielson do the G1, if he's worried about getting hurt, then it's not worth it. Kingston held up. Somehow Eddie Kingston worked the G1 this year, and he managed to not get hurt. But Danielson, he wrestles a very different style than Eddie Kingston does. A lot more physical. And I don't want to see the man cripple himself. We have Hangman Adam Page, one-on-one with Swerve Strickland. They had a contract signing on Dynamite Wednesday. Hangman said that for a year and a half, he would come to work with a little black cloud over his head that he just couldn't get rid of. A little black cloud named Phil. He said whenever he would start to smile, that black cloud returned and it started to rain. He said that's over now, and he weathered the storm. And Swerve said he's going to take Page's position from him, and oh, by the way, it rains a lot in Seattle. I thought that was a killer line. This is a win that Swerve needs. This is a win that Swerve Strickland should get. This match should be about getting Swerve to that next level, and beating a former AEW World Champion would help do that. So I think he should absolutely win this round, and they could always stretch it out to Full Gear. They could run it back again, especially if they go out there tonight and have a great match, which I'm expecting they will. You know, it's not like I wouldn't love to see them go at least one more time. So this could be the first of several meetings they have. But when I look at this and I say, who benefits the most from walking out of this match with the W tonight? It's Swerve Strickland. And so I'm picking Swerve to get the win here. I am very happy to see him and Hangman have something to really sink their teeth into, especially Hangman, because it just feels to me like, yeah, they put the Ring of Honor 6-man titles on him and the Bucks, but like, who cares? You know, it doesn't do anything for them. It just seems kind of pointless. Like Tony Khan is just using them to try to bolster the Ring of Honor brand, which again is what makes me think there's some kind of deal in the works here, because he's really been trying to put some star power behind the Ring of Honor name in recent weeks. They got fucking MJF walking around with the Ring of Honor tag team titles. So something is definitely going on there, but it's been so long since Hangman has really had anything of substance on the show to do. So this is a match I'm looking forward to. Hopefully this can drag out a little bit longer. Now we have a trios match. We have Kenny Omega, we have Chris Jericho, and we have Kota Ibushi teaming up to take on the Don Callis family of Konosuke Takeshita, Sammy Guevara, and Will, by God, Ospreay. How can this be anything but fantastic? Just look at who's involved. Just look at the star power involved. Look at the talent involved. Callis just formed this new group, this new family. I think you get more heat on them by having them go over. So I'm predicting a win for Ospreay, Takeshita, and Guevara. Ospreay doesn't need to win the match for his team. Either Takeshita pins Ibushi or have Sammy pick up his first big win for the family and let Sammy pin Chris Jericho. That's how I would do it. I think it goes one of those two ways. You know, they went to Tokyo. They beat up Ibushi in his own dojo, and someone posted a photo online, actually video too, of the vignette. They shot this vignette on the streets of Tokyo. When, if you remember Dynamite on Wednesday, we saw Callis and Takeshita just standing there. They were in the middle, I don't know where they were. They were on the street somewhere. There were people all around them. And they just filmed this little promo about how, you know, we're in Tokyo, we're hunting for Ibushi, we're looking for Ibushi. And so anyway, these photos and video got posted by somebody online. One of the people who happened to be walking around, I guess, was a fan, and they said, oh shit, they're filming something for AEW, so they pulled their phone out, and they exposed that the person filming the vignette with his phone was Kenny Omega. Can't make this shit up. Which means it was probably Omega who filmed Ibushi getting the shit kicked out of him at the dojo later. Say it ain't so. Baron Corbin will not be happy about this. We'll see how many of you get that reference. And as far as Ibushi is concerned, now you guys have heard me saying that. How many times have I said this over the last few months? I've said, I guarantee you, the reason that Ibushi, we see him out there the way that he is, and he's been hidden away, no singles matches or anything, this guy is hurt. This guy is not 100%. Well, Kota Ibushi gave an interview to Sports Illustrated, and guess what he told Sports Illustrated? He's not fully recovered, and he's dealing with more injuries. He said, I cannot say that I am completely better. Newer injuries have proven difficult. However, my fighting style will never be limited. I will continue to find a way to fight. So there it is. Kota Ibushi is wrestling hurt. And so for all the people saying, well, why does he look different? He looks a little softer in the upper body than he used to be and all that. Well, he is older. But I'm telling you, this guy cannot train upper body the way that he used to. So that is the update from Kota Ibushi. But there it is. I mean, I've been saying it now for months. And to hear him say it, it sucks that he's still hurt. He mentions newer injuries. But it's pretty apparent when you watch him out there. This is a different person. This is not the same Kota Ibushi from 2 years ago in New Japan when he hurt his shoulder in the finals of the G1 against Okada. It's like two different people. I hope that one day he can get back to that where he's 100% or as close to 100% as he can be, and he can train like he used to and be the old Kota Ibushi. But this guy is clearly hurting. You could just see it when he's out there. Full Gear, I'm guessing. I'm looking ahead now to Full Gear. Full Gear is probably the Omega Takeshita rematch and the Jericho-Sammy rematch. So that's why I say you have either Takeshita, put the final nail in the coffin for Ibushi here, right? His best friend, Kenny Omega's best friend, put more heat on that feud before the eventual rematch. Or you give the win to Sammy. Because when I look at this and I say, who could benefit the most? Just like the Hangman Swerve match, who benefits the most by going over here? It's Sammy Guevara. He just joined the Don Callis family. Jericho already beat him on television, right at Grand Slam. Let him go over. Let him get the pin on Jericho here and set up the rematch between the two. So that's what Full Gear is looking like to me. And then Omega and Ospreay, that's probably all set for the Tokyo Dome, would be my guess. And according to Darby Allin, during their countdown special that aired on Friday night, his match with Christian Cage will be main eventing WrestleDream tonight. Darby said that he's waited to be in the main event of an AEW pay-per-view for so long. It will be Darby challenging the new TNT champion Christian Cage for the title in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Now, I'm thinking back now to the pillars. Right, the pillars of AEW. Who are the pillars? MJF, Darby Allin, Jack Perry, and Sammy Guevara. Right? Didn't they had a 4-way match, I think, back at Double or Nothing? And I'm pretty sure all but Jack Perry have now, as of tonight, assuming that Darby goes on last, all 4 of them will have main evented, or 3 out of the 4 will have main evented an AEW pay-per-view. Right? MJF has headlined. Sammy has been a part of some multi-man matches, like the Stadium Stampede stuff. And if Darby goes on last with Christian tonight, that only leaves Jungle Boy, who, as far as we know, is still indefinitely suspended. So it looks like old Jack Perry over there is the only one without a main event to his name. But this will be for the TNT Championship. 2 out of 3 falls. For Christian, it will be his second time headlining an AEW pay-per-view after his match with Kenny Omega 2 years ago at Full Gear. That was the same night that Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson made their debuts. They aired a great sit-down interview with Jim Ross on Dynamite Wednesday with Darby and Christian, where Darby told him not to bring Luchasaurus to the ring. Now, that doesn't mean that Christian has to listen to this guy. He's a heel. And Luchasaurus is going to be there, right? He's wrestling on 0 Hour. But the idea is no Nick Wayne, no Luchasaurus at ringside for this match. It's going to be one-on-one, fair fight, 2 out of 3 falls. Darby beat Samoa Joe to win the TNT title back on the very first Dynamite of the year in this same building in his hometown of Seattle. That and the fact that they are headlining with this, I would say, of course, Darby Allin is going to win back the TNT Championship. Were it not for the fact that he has said he is headed to Switzerland this month and China next month to begin training for his Mount Everest climb in April. So it doesn't mean he's going to be overseas the entire month, but if he's going to be gone for more than just a few days, there's no point in putting the title on him. Why would you even bother doing the title change if he's not going to be around? But there's another reason why I think Christian is retaining, and it is the big story that everybody is talking about. Christian said he doesn't need Luchasaurus to beat Darby Allin. Today just so happens to be the first day of October. It's the first day that Christian's best friend and former tag team partner Edge is officially a free agent. His WWE deal expired yesterday, meaning he is now free to sign with whoever he wants, or no one at all. They even took him out of the SmackDown intro on Friday. PW Insider confirmed he was removed from WWE's miscellaneous internal roster, although he would be anyway if his contract expired. His last match was the win over Sheamus in Toronto on SmackDown. Apparently Sheamus, he hurt his shoulder pretty badly in that match. That's why we haven't seen him since. We haven't seen either one of them since. But that match was an excellent match, and it's not a bad way to go out if that was going to be Edge's final match. But I don't believe that it is. Whether it's WWE, AEW, I don't believe that Edge has wrestled his final match. And there has been a lot of talk that even people in WWE have believed for weeks, not just this week, but for weeks, that Edge is going to AEW. There is a reason that this match is going on last. Now, it could be just as simple as Darby is a Seattle guy, and he's going to win the title. And Tony Khan wants to give him a big moment and give the fans a happy ending. And I'll say this, if this match does end up going on last, and again, they flat out said that it would, so unless there's a change in plans, this is going on last. What I like about that, the TNT title has been neglected for so long, and you've heard me talk about this a lot on this show. The TNT Championship used to be something you would look at. It wasn't just a secondary title. It was a title that had actual value to it. When Cody had it and Darby had it the first time, Miro won it, and there were different people who held it, but it was really a title that was held in high regard in AEW. Then along came the All-Atlantic title, which seemed like overkill. What the hell do we need an All-Atlantic title for? Eventually they rebranded it. Now it's the International title. And what has happened over the course of the past year, and it really started around the time when Wardlow got the belt, and it went from, like, Wardlow had it, and Scorpio Sky had it, and it just, the booking of the TNT Championship went to shit. Probably around the time that Wardlow's booking went to shit, coincidentally. But it's almost like the script flipped. And I don't care what you think of Orange Cassidy. You may hate his guts and think that he's a pox on the wrestling business. The booking of Orange Cassidy as the international champion elevated the international title far above the TNT title. It's like the roles reversed. We were seeing that championship defended on television almost every week on a regular basis. He was welcoming all comers, and he was having some pretty damn good matches with a lot of these people. The TNT title became a complete afterthought. And so now it looks like maybe nature is healing, because it looks like the TNT Championship might actually be headlining a pay-per-view. When was the last time that happened? All right, this may be the first time. But it's either the first time or the first time in a very long time. So I'm happy to see them actually doing something and positioning the TNT title in a way where it actually feels valuable, for the first time in a very long time. So it is possible. That's as simple as it is. Tony Khan is going to put Darby Allin over, and it's going to be the big feel-good moment to end the show in his hometown. But I think they're headlining for a different reason. I think it's because Edge is going to make his AEW debut. He won't be able to call himself Edge. He can call himself Sledge or Wedge or whatever he wants, but I don't think he owns the rights to Edge. Roderick Strong is already going around every week yelling Adam at the top of his lungs, so that might be a little weird, but Adam might just be the way to go. If Tony Khan wants to get people talking, he wants to have a big moment to close out this show. Boy, he's sure hyping this show up in a very big way, like something big is going down tonight. That would be one way of doing it. That would be one way of closing the show. By having Edge either cost Christian the title and help Darby go up 2 falls to 1 to win the title, and we can get Edge against Christian, or he helps Christian win. And that's the way that I think it's going to go. Christian said he'll leave Luchasaurus behind, but he never said anything about his best friend. There's money in one last Edge and Christian run together. They could do some tag matches. They could still wrestle singles. Right? They're not going to be full-time singles wrestlers, but they could still do singles matches. You get those tag matches out of the way before you do any kind of split and have them wrestle each other. I mean, Edge is a bit of a weird case. There were some matches of his in this latest run with WWE that I really liked. Like the last one he had. And there were some matches that just absolutely bored me. It's not that I wouldn't sit here and tell you, oh, Edge is washed. Like, there are some people I'll look at and go, okay, that guy's washed. I don't look at Edge and go, okay, he's washed. He can't go anymore. But age has caught up with him, right? He was out of the ring for so long, didn't take bumps or anything. Then he comes back after 9 years. That's a tough thing to do for your body to readjust. But now he's been back for 3 years or 3.5 years. And I don't know how old he is, right? If he's 50 or he's closing in on 50, but age has caught up with him, as it will with all of us. Age has caught up with him. I don't think he has another 3 years left in him full-time. Part-time, sure, he could go a couple of matches each year, or something like that for the next 5 if he wants to. And Tony Khan sees value in that. It's why he wanted Edge back. Look, Tony Khan brought Sting in. Sting was more of a marquee name to a lot of people than Edge was, because Sting has been in the business for so much longer. And Edge was out for 9 years. Sting never left. Sting has been around since fucking 1985 or whatever it was. In various promotions, he never retired. He never really went away. You know, Edge disappeared for 9 years. So Tony Khan saw Sting. He probably marked out for him. He probably was a huge Sting mark as a wrestling fan and said, boy, I'd love to work with him. And imagine the money I can make with him in licensing and put him in our video game eventually and all this different stuff. It was a smart play. And I will say that Tony Khan, forget the dumb risks that, you know, he let Sting take at a lot of these matches. I feel like he's going to kill himself in the ring one day. But the booking of Sting, the way that he has handled Sting has been just picture perfect. And I applaud him for that. He found a way to use Sting in the best way possible. Sting is not in a position where he should be wrestling for a world title. Unless it's his final match and there's a story they want to tell there. It's not like he's putting Sting in singles matches. He's going over on all their top stars and squashing people. He's been very deliberate in the way that he has used him in this alliance, this partnership, this tag team with Darby Allin. It's been very smart, but he saw the value in Sting. And I think likewise, Tony Khan recognizes the value in Edge. And we know he sees value in him because it goes all the way back to 2019 when he tried to get him. He made him an offer. He wanted him in as a wrestler and as somebody who could assist behind the scenes. That's when Edge went to Vince McMahon out of loyalty and said, look, I just want you to know I got this offer here. And Vince was like, oh, if you're going to come back, you know, you're going to wrestle for us. You're not going to wrestle for somebody else. And good for Edge. He got a fucking sweetheart deal out of it. Edge brings value to AEW as more than just an in-ring performer. He can still talk, right? His mouth can still move. He's a great promo. He's a big name they can use, you know, publicly that wrestling fans, even lapsed fans, would recognize from years ago, even if they don't watch wrestling anymore, right? They know who Edge is from the Attitude Era and the early 2000s, so there's value in him in that regard. He could be a great asset as a coach or a mentor to some of the younger talents. He's just a great veteran presence to have around. And if you don't think there isn't value in Edge and Christian working together one last time, that's a very stupid thing to think. And of course, I'm sure Tony Khan would love to put together one last Edge and Christian match against the Hardys. The Hardys are a different story. They have seen better days in the ring. But Christian is doing some of the best work of his entire career right now. Christian is fantastic. I'm enjoying what he is doing now more than what Edge was doing in WWE. I would take this Christian run in AEW over this latest Edge run in WWE. But, you know, you think about the possibilities here. What about Edge and Christian against Darby Allin and Sting at some point? All right, that would be a hell of a retirement match for Sting. So, does Tony Khan need Edge? No, he doesn't need Edge. Nor does Edge need Tony Khan. But I think they both recognize the value in working together. Edge can still make great money. It's not like he's going to be fucking poor, working for one billionaire over another. He's going to make great money. He gets to work with his best friend. And now he has a whole new roster of talent that he could work with. You know, think about the Judgment Day. The Judgment Day was his idea. He wanted to work with Damian Priest. He wanted to help elevate Rhea Ripley. It ended prematurely for him, but replacing him with Finn Balor, it took that group to the next level, and look at them now. They're the top faction in the company. The Judgment Day has done wonders for all 4 of them. But it started out as an Edge idea. That's where he can bring real value to AEW. And with CM Punk gone, if Tony Khan wants to give Collision a boost, you know, now it's the Bryan Danielson show. Adding Edge to that show, or Edge and Christian, would add some more star power to the show. If he feels like, oh, well, we took a bit of a hit with Punk being gone. Punk was the big name. Well, that would certainly help. Featuring them more on the Saturday show. I personally, really didn't think that Edge would make the move. And I still won't believe it until I see it. But I was one who thought, at the end of all this, I hear the rumors and everything, but I said this even a few weeks ago. I said at the end of the day, I think he'll still stick with WWE. But the chatter about him going to AEW has really picked up in the last couple of weeks. And the timing of this show could not have lined up any better for Tony Khan. Maybe it happens tonight. Maybe it doesn't happen until Wednesday. Maybe it doesn't happen at all. And this is all just a lot of fantasy booking. But that's how I think WrestleDream is going to end. So that's 14 matches. I guess I'll be seeing you guys at 2 o'clock in the morning, live on YouTube for the review. For WrestleDream, it'll be a miracle if I'm not dreaming before the main event even hits the ring.